Let's begin with the latest on the Silicon Valley Bank saga. Reports say HSBC Bank has acquired Silicon Valley Bank UK for £1. The development comes as Britain has been battling to limit any damage to its industry, and SVB UK had loans of around $6.7 billion. Given the importance of the lender to some customers, more than 250 UK tech firm executives signed a letter addressed to the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, on Saturday, calling for government intervention and warned of an existential threat to the UK tech sector. Friday's dramatic failure of SVB Financial Group, which focuses on tech startups, was the biggest bank collapse in the US since the 2008 financial crisis. The UK Chancellor says the rescue of SVB's UK arm by HSBC is necessary in order to help protect some of the country's most important technology companies.
The UK banking system is extremely secure, it's well capitalised, and I think we demonstrated that resilience by what was happening over the weekend and the fact that we were able to come up with a solution so quickly.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has reiterated his support for tech firms in the UK. Listen in.
People should be reassured that our overall financial system is sound and there's nothing to worry about there. But as I said, we'll have something to say very shortly. We've been working on it intensively over the weekend.
According to Germany's finance watchdog, the SVB poses no financial threat in Germany. A similar statement has been issued by the French Finance and Economic Minister, Bruno Le Maire. He said French institutions are solid with a high liquidity ratio. Meanwhile, experts say Indian startups that have deposits at SVB might get impacted. Regulators confirmed on Sunday that all deposits will be returned. Reports say the collapsed bank had invested in around 21 Indian startups, including Bluestone, Carwell and Loyalty Rewards. However, no significant investments have been made in Indian startups after 2011. The situation is particularly dire for startups backed by the Silicon Valley accelerator Y Combinator, with at least 40 YC-backed Indian startups having between $250,000 and $1 million each in deposits with the Silicon Valley Bank. The Indian government is going to take stock of the situation, with Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar having organized a meeting with Indian startups this week to understand the possible impact. Earlier, some big venture capital firms, including Peter Thiel Fund, had advised companies to exit Silicon Valley Bank. Panic spread across the startup world last week as worries about the financial health of Silicon Valley Bank prompted Peter Thiel's Founders Fund and other prominent venture capitalists to advise portfolio businesses to withdraw their money. Venture firm Tribe Capital has also advised its portfolio companies to move some of their balances from SVB. All right, for more on this story, let's now go across to our correspondents, Alex Izat, who joins us from London, and Ross Cullen, who joins us from Paris. Alex, if I could come to you first. Now, grave concerns have been expressed about the exposure that several financial institutions in the UK might have to the SVB. Of course, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, has said that all possible measures will be taken to minimize the damage. But what more do we really know about how worrying the situation might actually be for UK?
£4.
All right. I don't think we have a safe connection with Alex right now. We'll try and reconnect with her in just a moment. But in the meantime, let me go across to Ross Cullen, who joins us from Paris. Ross, now the French Commerce Minister says that French institutions are solid. There is absolutely no need to worry about any kind of exposure to the Silicon Valley Bank. But is that how financial institutions in France really see the situation, given how much panic there is around the world, given the collapse of this bank?
Yes. Yeah, I think like in the UK, there is a belief in the financial stability of the French system overall. The finance minister speaking earlier today, Bruno Le Maire, saying that French banks are solid, there is sufficient liquidity, there is no risk of contagion, there is no specific alert. And so he was very sure that the French banking system generally and specific French banks' exposure was not of a sufficient concern to warrant any emergency measures or any alert measures being announced by his ministry.
All right, no major concerns being expressed in France. But let me go back to Alex at this point, and let's hope we have a better connection this time. Alex, a lot of concern has been expressed in the United Kingdom about the possible fallout of the SVB bank's collapse on UK institutions. What are some of the measures that the government is planning to take at this point?
Hopefully you can hear me better now. Yes, of course, when the news came out that HSBC had bought the SVB UK arm for £1, the FTSE 100 did drop quite suddenly. However, it has now slowly climbed up again, but there does seem to be a real worry within many financial institutes that, what's the next bank that may also crash. We do understand in the UK there are lots of banks that have been closing, their businesses have been closing on the high street, and that is a worry for many of the UK people. The government did step in and did negotiate this deal with HSBC, but the Bank of England said that it hadn't gone far enough, that it should have looked at all possibilities in the run-up to SVB collapsing, and that there were some signs way ahead of the collapse. However, the UK government has said that it's done its piece now, that it has negotiated, and it was very important for someone privately to buy this bank out so that the tech companies within the UK can still pay their staff on, well, this morning really, and going forward, because as we keep...
All right. We seem to have a tenuous link there with Alex, but of course, as she mentioned there is considerable concern in the United Kingdom over the exposure of UK's financial institutions to SVB, the bank that has collapsed and whose collapse has triggered panic around the globe. HSBC, in fact, has decided to acquire Silicon Valley Bank UK for £1. On that note, Alex Izad and Ross Cullen, thanks for bringing us all those details.